Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another JVS movie review brought to you from the Middleburg Film Festival. Now, this film here is the film that won the top honors at the Middleburg Film Festival. This one is Belfast. I know all you have heard about it. It is currently the Oscar front runner for Best Picture. Here, this is directed by Kenneth Branagh and it stars Jude, Caitriona, Balfe, Jamie Dornan, Judi, Dench, and Ciarán, Hinds. I swear he gives like three different ways to pronounce his name because he says no one can ever get it right. But I'm gonna go with Ciarán Hinds, okay? And here's a quick synopsis: a semi-autobiographical film which chronicles the life of a working-class family and their young son's childhood during the Troubles in Belfast, Ireland, in the late '60s. So, first off, this film, for anyone who doesn't know what the Troubles are, this was a time where Protestants and Catholics were battling to deadly results in Ireland over just religion. And technically, it was equivalent to the race issues that we had in America. This is just more focused on the religious aspect of it and how Protestants hated Catholics and they would do whatever they needed to do to kill Catholics and drive them away from their neighborhoods. And then we're introduced to this family in the town of Belfast. Now, supposedly this is based on Kenneth Branagh's life. When he wrote this film, he said he did base it off of his life or some of the things he went through in his life, and he just wanted to tell this story. He said it took 40 years to tell this story, but now he's here to tell this story. First off, this movie is shot brilliantly. If you've ever seen any of his films, you never question him as a director, and you won't hear. This is an amazingly beautiful black and white film that gives you splashes of color just to break up at times the monotony and also just the poignancy of certain scenes where the color aspects of it is needed to drive home a point and a message. As the young man here played by Jude as Buddy is one of the most likable kid actors I've ever seen. He is so good in this movie as just this wide-eyed kid who's now experiencing the changing of his world because of everything that's going on in Belfast. And even through the relationships with his parents here, Jamie Dornan and Caitriona Balfe, and what they do as his parents here, as we also see the struggles of this neighborhood to survive. Again, this is supposed to be a working class neighborhood. There's not a lot of jobs available here. And with everything else that's going on in the world surrounding them, we see this family struggle with how to move forward. Maybe moving out of Belfast would be the biggest and best move to do here. And just the love for the neighborhood and a love for family here. Because again, the two grandparents played by Judi Dench and Mr. Hinds, they're great. I mean, anything Judi Dench does is great. I don't care at this point. She can literally sit up, read a phone book, and I'll be perfectly fine with that. And I will probably nominate her for Oscar for reading a phone book. That's how good she's always been. And in this film in particular, just the caringness of the grandparents kind of makes you love Buddy's character even more in this film. But again, as we just go through his childhood of growing up in this neighborhood, it is so captivating. Everything he goes through, it reminded me of my own childhood. Like this is one of those films where, yes, it's set during a certain time period. Yes, it's set with a certain group of people. I don't think anyone who sees this film won't be able to relate to it, though. That growing up in a time period where your neighbors cared about you, growing up in a time period where maybe there were troubles going on in your neighborhoods, and just how you deal with them and how you navigate it as a kid. Like Buddy here has some amazing moments as a kid, like being introduced to being in a gang at one point in time in this film, and not in a real gang, but in a gang that it's something that kids do. But here, with him being introduced in such a thing, it has real life consequences to it. And that's what really separates this film, as we see his parents struggle with the thought of leaving the only home they've ever known, and then having to relate that to their children. As we see the parents fight over money, they fight over the dad always being gone because he has to commute to a completely different country to work. Because where they're at in Belfast, there are no jobs available, and they do a great job of pointing that out in this film. Like, this is a struggling place. This is not a place where like things are just going to happen for you that's going to be great. Like, you love the neighbors, everyone knows who you are, everyone can look after you and the well-being of your kids, but that doesn't mean that this is the best place to raise them, especially during the Troubles and with that time period and everything that was happening. But throughout all the heartache, all the terror that's surrounding this kid, I love the point that Kenneth decided to focus on Buddy and his life. Because as a kid, while all the craziness is going on around him, he's still a kid. He's still enjoying his life. He still found a girl in school that he absolutely loved, that he just wanted to do anything humanly possible to get her attention. Him spending time with his grandparents. Some of the best scenes of this film is just him talking to his grandfather, and just, again, him being a kid. They do a great job here of not stealing that moment from him, but also showing you as an adult, you get to see the realism of their situation. And while Buddy just knows his life, he gives you glimpses of what's outside of Buddy's realm of what's going on in the world. Even through his older brother here in this film, we get to see some of the things that are going on, some of the tragic things that happen to people, tragic moments that happen to people. Really, at the beginning of this film, when the moment we get introduced to the family and we get introduced to this bright-eyed kid, that's when a war breaks out. Car bombings happen, and they are destroying this neighborhood because of people's prejudice. And I think that's what makes this movie so powerful, is that through the kid's eyes, you see what it means to be a child and to love this neighborhood, have friends, have a girlfriend, while through the parents' eyes, you get to see the trauma of being in this place. Knowing that you love this place, but it may be best for you to leave this place to give your kids a better chance at being kids. It's one of the hardest things of being a parent, is attempting to make that decision and leaving everything you know for the betterment of your kid. And it really drives it home the point well here. And Kenneth Branagh clearly loves Belfast. He loves this area because everything that's shot here shot with such beauty, calm, and peace that you're just captivated by it. It's one scene in particular, not spoiling much of anything here, of Buddy's grandmother, played by Judi Dench, taking him to a play. And this is one of the few elements of the film where we get in color, and it's such an amazing scene. You see all the joy over his face. I love every close-up shot they did with Buddy, because all you see is he's oblivious to everything bad that's happening really around him. And all he is focused on being happy and being a kid. And that's what you need in a film like this, because if you went too serious of an angle of it, I think you could have ruined it. But here they strike a great balance to show that in the end, this is a family attempting to make a living, struggling to make a living, and just having to come to the hardest decisions that they've ever faced in how to progress and how to keep their children safe. Wow, Kenneth still makes it relatable to anybody. Me as a black man, someone else as a Latino person, someone else as an Asian person. I think this is a story that can resonate with anybody who sees it. So, Belfast, brought to you by the Middleburg Film Festival. Out of a possible 10, I'm going to give Belfast a 9 out of 10. This movie looks amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. The performances are great. Little Jude is great in this movie. I love this little kid in this movie. And it's just the wide-eyedness of it all. The costumes of it all. The point it is shot in black and white with elements of color. I haven't seen a movie shot in black and white look this beautiful. And this is not the only film of Middleburg that I saw that was shot in black and white. But this one just looked great. It looked amazing. And you get the typical Kenneth Branagh shots, which is like really, really great shots that he pulls off. And even movies like Thor, he managed to pull them off. So here, it just captivated even more because you feel his love for this story. And as you feel his love for this story, you become captivated with it also. So this has been another JVS movie review. Peace, people.